Welcome to Reproduction 2, Male Reproduction. We're going to start out with male anatomy, starting with the testicles, and we'll follow through the rest of the reproductive tract. So, two main functions of the testicles. Number one, produce sperm, and the typical male will produce billions of sperm per ejaculate. One thing we've found is that in our livestock species, males with larger testicles tend to produce more sperm. The more sperm an individual produces, the more offspring we can get from that bull or ram or boar. Sperm production takes about 45 days. So we'll start out with meiosis here and continue on, and then we'll get into go up into the epididymis, long tube here, at any rate, and then we store the sperm at the tail of the epididymis. If we have heat stress, the sperm that are most apt to get damaged is the very young sperm, and while the older sperm may be quite resilient. Trillions of sperm are produced in a lifetime, so a little bit of difference between germ cells in males and females. When a female is born, they have the optimal level or maximum level of a mature ovum in their ovaries. But trillions of sperm are produced through the animal's life. Okay, the second main function of testicles is to produce testosterone, which is considered the male sex hormone. It causes male libido. Libido is sexual interest. And of course, that's important if we're going to have these bulls and boars mate with the females. Secondary sex characteristics would include a deeper voice, more muscle, faster growth rate, maybe a hump on the neck in case of cattle. The epididymis is right alongside and attached to the testicles. It's where sperm is stored, and it's stored in the tail of the epididymis until ejaculation. Second function of the epididymis is maturation of the sperm. So the sperm that enters the epididymis are not capable of fertilization, and so one thing to look at on the sperm would be the cytoplasmic droplets. So as the sperm enters the epididymis, we have the droplet right close to the head of the sperm, and as the sperm matures, this droplet goes down the tail and drops off the end, and the sperm is ready for ejaculation at that point. Next, a little bit on the scrotum. So the scrotum protects the testes, and in mammals, for optimal sperm production, we need the testicles to be maintained at a lower temperature than body temperature. And in our picture here, we're just measuring the scrotal circumference in a bull. And in beef cattle breeds, they actually do genetic evaluations for scrotal circumference. The bigger the scrotum, generally the more sperm that can be produced. Okay, additional methods of temperature regulation here as far as keeping the testicles at the right temperature. We have the cremaster muscle that raises and lowers the testes. So during hot weather, it's going to be completely lowered. During cold weather, it's going to draw the testes closer to the body to keep it at optimal temperature. The tuna dartis is around the inside of the scrotum, and that contracts also to reduce surface temperature surface area during cold weather. And also another mechanism here is that these muscles will contract if a bull becomes frightened and goes running across the pasture, just to help prevent damage to the testicles. And on the scrotum there are ample sweat glands that sweat during hot weather, and the evaporative effect will help cool the scrotum. Finally, the peniform venous plexus is a heat exchange mechanism for the temperature of the blood. So we've got this hot blood coming in, and the blood is coming in at body temperature. Well, the blood supply to the testes is pretty good, so we would quickly warm the testes to body temperature with this warm blood coming in. But the artery coming in is intertwined with the blood going out, so the blood going out will cool the blood as it comes in, so that when the blood coming in reaches the testes, it's going to be at testes temperature rather than body temperature. And we should just say something about the inguinal ring, which is the opening that the spermatic cord goes up into the body. At time of fetal development, the testes actually develop right along the spinal cord, right next to the kidneys. And then before birth, they descend down through the inguinal ring into the scrotum. And then the inguinal ring closes up. Well, sometimes the inguinal ring may close before the testes descend, and you may have one or more testes that remain up in the body. In order of frequency where that happens, it's quite common in pigs, and it happens once in a while horses, very seldom in cattle. And one of the reasons for this order here with pigs, the testes descend down right before birth. With cattle, it's well before birth. Anyway, as far as cryptorganism, if it's bilateral where both testes are up in the body, the animal is going to be infertile. If there's one testes in the body, one down in the scrotum, you'd expect fertility to be near normal. But as far as livestock production goes, you would not use a cryptorchid for breeding purposes because it could be a genetic condition, and we don't want those genetics transferred to the next generation. The vas deferens is the tube that goes from the tail of the epididymis to the urethra. In horses, we have an enlarged end of the vas deferens as it nears the urethra. That's called the ampulla. And that's found in horses, but also bulls and rams. As the vas deferens meets the urethra, we find the accessory glands. And first one we'll talk about is the vesicular glands, or another name would be the seminal vesicles. It provides energy buffers to protect semen from the acidic vagina and adds volume to the semen, mainly in the form of water. So here we kind of have a demonstration. Here's the vas deferens, and we first meet the vesicular gland. We have the prostate gland and the baba urethra. The prostate gland contributes inorganic ions, sodium, chlorine, calcium, magnesium, and in dogs and in man, as males get older, the prostate, which encircles the urethra, can increase in size or enlarge, and sometimes it can restrict opening in the urethra and restrict urination. And finally, we have the bulbourethra gland, or the Cowper's gland. Provides the gel-like portion of semen at the end of ejaculation. It's largest in boars. In fact, the amount of gel-like portion is quite significant in boars. This particular gel is spermicidal, and evolutionary-wise, think of a herd of wild pigs. The largest, healthiest boar is going to breed the female in estrus first, and then this gel-like plug will prevent other boars from, or maybe lower genetic superiority from having as many offspring as your herd sire. Just have a little schematic here that shows the location of the bladder right before you get to the accessory glands. Sperm goes up the vas deferens at the time of ejaculation, and as the sperm is mixed with fluids from the accessory glands, semen goes out the urethra. The penis is the organ of copulation in males. Bulls, boars, and rams have a S-shaped bend in the penis to allow retraction into the body and extension during copulation. There's the retractor muscle that pulls the penis in, and it relaxes during sexual excitement. The penises on the bulls, rams, and boars remain relatively rigid. The stallion's penis contains more erectile spongy tissue that gets engorged with blood during sexual excitement. The ram's penis has a penditure that swirls around, spraying semen around the vagina of the ewe or the vagina of the doe. The purpose of this is unknown, and it can cause problems in males in that it is smaller in diameter than the urethra. If calcium salts are crystallized in the urinary tract, they can get stuck in this appenditure and prevent urination. So sometimes this small appenditure needs to be cut off by a veterinarian to allow older rams to urinate. Some differences with male poultry. The testes remain in the body cavity located up by the spinal column, right by the kidneys, and remain at body temperature. And interesting that the male poultry, birds, can produce a lot of semen at a body temperature that's higher generally than what we find in mammals. The vas deferens open in a small papilla in the cloaca. Male fowl do not have a penis. The birds just press their cloaca together and the sperm is transferred. Well, we'll get back to mammals here. Unique characteristics of a dog's penis. Within the penis is a small bone called the os penis, and helps give support during intromission. The base of the penis contains a swelling called the bulba glandis, which actually physically ties the male dog and the female dog together during mating. And the time may last from a few minutes to an hour, so dogs are what you'd call slow ejaculators. The cat's penis is rather unique. Few things. The penis has splines on that point backwards. These splines will rake the walls of the female's vagina. The female needs this stimulation for ovulation to occur. So the female is an induced ovulator. The mating process actually stimulates the female to ovulate. Another unique characteristics of the cat's penis, as you can see here, it's orientated backwards. At time of breeding, it turns around the other way so we can make a connection with the female. And that concludes the little video on male reproduction.